The K1E1 tank is the advanced version of the K1 tank, according to Hyundai Rotem, the vehicle's manufacturer. It is not a new manufacturing model, but rather an upgrade kit for the K1 tank. Let's dig into the history and design of the tank. So, without any further delay, let's begin. Since the Korean War, the South Korean military relied on tanks developed and manufactured in the United States. The Korean government was anxious in the 1970s about its outdated American pattern tank family, which included the M47 and M48 models. To counter the threat posed by North Korean Soviet T-54-55 tanks, a major combat tank idea was required. The South Korean president, Park Chung-hee, and his administration wanted to build a new tank domestically so that the Korean army and people would feel pride in a tank built by their own countrymen. And Parker believed that his men would fight with a sense of superiority in a tank built by their own countrymen. However, the Koreans lacked the design expertise needed to create, construct, and produce such a tank. Multiple designs were examined by the Korean development team. The crew first looked into securing licenses to manufacture the American M60A1 pattern tank. The original intention was to purchase all available tanks and manufacture new patterns in Korea, because the amount of patterns available was insufficient to meet the Koreans' needs. This resulted in a no agreement. Contracts to modify existing Korean patterns were secured, and the design team looked into the German Leopard 1's manufacturing rights. After some thought, the Korean team concluded that, with the development of the Leopard 2 and M1 Abrams, building older tank types would limit their potential to battle new Soviet designs. Instead, the South Koreans would choose a variant of the tank, in preparation for the tank's manufacturing in South Korea. Hyundai precision engineers were deployed to General Dynamics to examine and supervise construction of the XK1 variant. With its beginnings in the M1 Abrams, the South Korean Rotem K1 main battle tank and the American M1 Abrams have a lot in common on the outside. The car was built locally in South Korea by Hyundai Precision and Incorporated Company Limited. Despite the fact that the system was designed to combat large numbers of North Korean T-54, T-55, T-62 main battle tanks of Soviet design. South Korea has created a new main battle tank named the K2 Black Panther since the manufacturing of the K1 and K1E1 tanks. The K2 outperforms the K1E1 in many ways, including the newest battlefield management and C4I networking technology from South Korea. The K2 Black Panther, which is now in construction, will replace Roka's outdated modified M48 pattern tanks. The K1E1 modification uses the same C4I networking technology as the K2, allowing the two tanks to share a network. The Joint Chiefs of Staff, JCS, the Army and Hyundai Rotem, the tank's creator, met in 2007 to discuss the needs for the K1 and K1E1 tank upgrades. K1 has been improved. The first K1E1 was released on July 7, 2014, after production began in December 2013. Comparable to K1A2, the upgrading will be similar. By 2026, all K1s will have been upgraded to K1E1. The K1E1 prototype acquired the name from the K1A1 prototype. Other enhancements will include a friend or foe IFF system that fires a Ka-band beam at the target and waits for a reaction. The firing control system automatically recognizes the target as friendly if it displays an appropriate response signal. Otherwise, it's considered antagonistic. Without military funding, Hyundai has already investing in creating an air conditioning system for the K1E1. We're working on an air conditioning system for the K1E1, and we're hoping the JCS and DARPA will look favorably on the idea in terms of troop welfare and future exports, a Hyundai official said, seeking anonymity. The lack of air conditioning on the K1 and K1E1 has been criticized in the South Korean media as having a negative impact on the crews. A 120mm M256 smoothbore cannon, as well as an updated gun and turret driving system, increase its firing range. The M256 cannon is also used on the M1A1-2 main battle tanks in the United States. The processing capacity and speed of a new ballistic computer for 120mm weapons has been increased. The Korean commander's panoramic sight, which includes a thermal imager with 2884 focal plane array, the KGPS gunner's sight with thermal imager, eye-safe laser rangefinder, and dual field of view day TV camera, and the KBCS ballistic fire control computer are all provided by Samsung Electronics, now Samsung Thales. Fording and turret slewing characteristics are improved with the race ring turret bearing. In the engine bay, a thermal wire fire sensor has been installed as part of the fire suppression system. There are 3 modes of operation for the commander's panoramic sight: aligned with the main armament, independent tracking, and gunner override. The commander can even give the target to the gunner or slaver the cannon to the commander's sight and start the fire. When firing on the move at a moving target, the K1 has achieved a first round hit probability of better than 90%. The Raytheon gunner's primary sight subsystem, GPSS, which comprises a thermal imager and laser rangefinder, is stabilized in 2 axes. Crosswind data, vehicle count, azimuth tracking rate, and range are all downloaded automatically by the gunner's ballistic computer. Air pressure, air temperature, barrel wear, barrel droop, and ammunition type are all manually entered by the shooter. The K1E1 has a number of improvements over the current K1 tanks, including a primary armament with double the penetration power. The new tank's 120mm cannon can pierce armored vehicles up to 600mm thick, whereas the Prime model's 105mm gun could only penetrate up to 300mm thick armored vehicles. The effective shooting range has also been raised from 1.2 km to 2 km. It has been enhanced for advanced stabilization, and the ballistic computer and gunner's auxiliary sights have been changed to be compatible with 120mm ammunition's ballistic properties. To improve survivability, a thermocouple wire replaces the K1's sensing wire in the engine compartment, and wire race bearings are employed at the junction of the turret and the hull to reduce race ring friction. The K1E1 tank was built by Hyundai Mobis in collaboration with the Agency for Defense Development and under the quality control of the Defense Quality Assurance Agency on that day. The K1E1 is a day and night hunter-killer with a sighting telescope in the tank conductor and artilleryman's seats, a 32-bit computerized ballistic calculator, and multi-purpose gloves. It outperforms the previous K1 tank in terms of heating power, hit, guard, and mobility. The 120mm gliding gun, which is the main cannon of this K1E1 tank, allows us to have heating power equal to that of the world's military powers, and will also help us deal effectively with anti-tank threats from our neighbors in the future by greatly reinforcing the combat capabilities of the Korean armored forces with greatly advanced destruction power and effective range compared to the existing K1 tank equipped with a 105mm gliding gun. Furthermore, functional items such as main accessible devices, specific gloves, ammunition developed with domestic technology that increase the domestic fire rates, and other devices are expected to greatly strengthen the fighting capabilities of the Korean military as a main tank designed to maximize parts interchangeability with the K1 tank for supporting munitions, by using parts whose efficiency was sufficiently improved from the existing K1 tank. The Korean armed forces now have the opportunity to strengthen the country's national defense system with weapons that are more advanced than the existing ones, and to be technologically equal with international tank-producing countries like the United States, Germany, and the United Kingdom by deploying this 120mm K1E1 tank, which is armed with the world's best technology in actual combat. The K1E1 is powered by a 1200 horsepower turbocharged MTU MB871 diesel engine with a power-to-weight ratio of 23.5 horsepower per ton. A planetary gear system and a hydrodynamic torque converter are used in the transmission. The K1E1 can reach a top speed of roughly 65 km per hour in high gear. Its low ground pressure of 0.87 kg per centimeter square allows it to maneuver smoothly in muddy or sandy terrain. The KL uses torsion bar springs and hydro-pneumatic suspension. The suspension system also allows for vehicle altitude control, or kneeling, which reduces the main gun depression angle to -10 degrees. That concludes today's video. We hope you enjoyed it. If that's the case, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more great material in the future. I'll see you later. Goodbye.